All right. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Broncos country? Every now and then I try and give you some Denver Broncos videos as just a small little way of spicing things up here, with the David Talks Buffs channel. But this is big news, and I just had to come out here and give my take, my 2 cents on it. So y'all let me know what your thoughts are on Russell Wilson. It has been announced that he's going to be benched these last 2 games against the Chargers and Raiders, I think is who we have on the schedule. And it ends what at the end of the day turned out to be a very disappointing tenure for Russell Wilson coming out here, and I'll get into the specifics and then look at a couple quarterbacks that I'm hoping Sean Payton has his eye on going into the draft. But man, when Russell Wilson got traded here, man, I was absolutely thrilled. I'm thinking, man, we're going to be competing for Super Bowls. We're going to be back into the playoffs. We haven't been in the playoffs since we won the Super Bowl in 2015, right? And and I mean, we gave up a lot. We gave up a lot. Gonna read this for you guys. Seahawks received defensive lineman Shelby Harris, starting tight end for them, Noah Fant, quarterback Drew Lock, 2 first-round draft picks, one of which was a top 5, if I remember correctly, and then 2 second-round picks and a fifth-round pick. We received Russell Wilson as well as a fourth-round pick that we used on a guy that didn't even make it past the first year. I think he was suspended this year for gambling reasons. So, I mean, just what turned out to just be a disastrous trade, maybe probably continued to set this franchise back, and it's disappointing because it was something that I felt like, hey, this was going to work out. I mean, guys, we have been through the ringer when it comes to quarterback. I mean, we had 2 seasons of Trevor Simeon as our starting quarterback. We had the Paxton Lynch failed experiment. That guy, um, I mean, could barely remember any of the plays, let alone get on the field. Who else did we have? We had the Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock periods. We had 6 games or so of Joe Flacco. We had Chad Kelly that everybody wanted to see as the starter, but then I don't know if he was coked up or something like that, dressed as Woody from Toy Story, but broke into a neighbor's house at Von Miller's Halloween party and got beat with a vacuum tube by some neighbor. It was very odd. Now he's killing it in the CFL. And so when this happened, I mean, we thought, hey, we're going after Aaron Rodgers. We hired Nathaniel Hackett to go get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers ends up not coming here. The deal falls through. He stays a Packer. And so we pivot to bringing in Russell Wilson. Again, he doesn't agree to a trade here, guys, unless there is a contract extension on the table. So we knew that was going to happen. We knew he was going to get extended. So we can't have this revisionist history of been like, we should have traded for him, but not extended him. That he would have never waived his trade clause or whatever if he wasn't going to get a new deal here. But um, I think last year, obviously injured, obviously had a head coach that had no idea. I mean, I didn't think we could have a worse head coach than Josh McDaniels. And I mean, Nathaniel Hackett was it. So just a terrible year last year. And Sean Payton comes in, well worth the money and the draft capital. Again, we got the wealthiest owners in the NFL right now. And so I don't care how much they're paying him. I think Sean Payton's going to do a good job here. He's proven, has that track record. I expected Russell Wilson to have a better year, but honestly, I didn't see this team making the playoffs coming into the season. I kept my expectations pretty tempered, but it was nice to see this team click for a while. I mean, credit to Vance Joseph and the defense. I mean, they've played a lot better than they did, at the beginning of the year. But man, if there's anything, I guess, positive that, the of course, everyone's going to remember the Russell Wilson era as one of extreme disappointment because the expectations were sky high. I do want to give Russell Wilson credit for doing one thing, and that was, hey, we beat the Chiefs, man, for the first time since 2015. We had won a Super Bowl more recently than beating the Chiefs until we did this past year, okay? It had been a long time since we beat the Chiefs. I mean, what was it, 17 straight losses or something crazy like that. Russell Wilson, man, you helped us get that win. I appreciate you, man. And Russell Wilson's a great guy. Obviously, he does a lot of community and charity work, and and I think he tried to do his best in terms of involving himself in the city. Again, you guys don't see this if you don't live here, but I go to a lot of Nuggets games, and if I'm not there, I'm watching them. Russell Wilson is there courtside pretty much any opportunity that he gets. He's always cheering on the Nuggets. I'm sure Nikola Jokic now knows who he is because it was very clear that the first time he didn't. When they met, it was pretty funny. But and there's only so much you can do. I think to get fans on your side when your performance is not where it needs to be. But he had a much better year this year, and last year it was pretty disastrous. But this year, again, looking at the stats, let's just take a look here really quick. 98 quarterback rating, okay. 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. I mean, that's pretty good stuff. 3,070 yards on the year, completion percentage of 66.4%. That's all pretty decent. That's all pretty decent stuff. He did a much better job this year of limiting the turnovers, played more within himself. I think Sean Payton definitely got better use out of him than obviously what we saw with Nathaniel Hackett, which, I mean, 16 TDs to 11 interceptions. I mean, that was just, it was hard to watch football that year. Buffs winning one game, Broncos, man, barely winning just a few. But yeah, it was very clear that I don't know, like we lost that Texans game after we had won what 6 straight or so. Man, I'm feeling like, man, this Broncos team, baby, it's playoff bound. Maybe Russell Wilson's going to be back next year, but we see some tough losses, coming here against the Texans. We lose that 22-17. I think we had 3 or 4 turnovers at that point. We beat the Chargers, which is great, but a really tough loss to the Lions, 42-17 a couple weeks ago, and then we lose to the Patriots at home on Sunday Night Football on Christmas Eve. It was a lump of coal given to us, guys. 26-23, just inexcusable. And I mean, you've seen some of the clips and stuff like that for us. Just, I don't even know what he was thinking in the pocket with some of these plays, but it's one that sucks, guys. Like, I really wanted this to work out. I was thrilled when Russell Wilson got here, and I don't hate him or anything like that. Like, there's no bad blood between me as a fan and Russell Wilson. I think at the end of the day, um, we didn't set him up well for success, obviously, last year, and um, I don't really know if we had the talent around him to put him in his best position to be as successful as he could have been. I think that the team is getting there, but I don't think I think it's safe to say that maybe our expectation of Russ was a little bit inflated as well. So yeah, my thing is like, hey, it's very clear that we were getting kind of average play, even though the stats were pretty good in terms of like how many touchdowns he threw and stuff like that. I won't bore you with the Pro Football Focus stuff on the NFL side of it right now, but um, yeah, if you just take a look, I mean, I think he's the 24th ranked passer in the NFL this year, and so from what I was seeing today, kind of justifying with some of the advanced metrics being thrown out there on Twitter, Russell Wilson was kind of average in a lot of different ways, and so I think that average is definitely a big improvement over what we saw last year, and honestly, over the last since 2016 on the last 7 seasons, we've been used to below average quarterback play. So that's probably why this season has seemed so great for us. But at the end of the day, average isn't going to win us Super Bowls. And I would be happy right now, or I would I'm okay with us moving on right now, maybe a year too early or whatever, if you might see it like that, to get somebody in here that hopefully that we can finally draft and develop. Guys, the only drafted quarterback to ever win a playoff game for this franchise is Tim Tebow. John Elway was drafted by the Colts and traded here. Peyton Manning signed here after being cut by the Colts. Jake Plummer was signed here after playing for the Arizona Cardinals. Those are our three most successful quarterbacks that we've had kind of in the modern lifetime of, well, at least me being a Broncos fan, right? Then we got guys that were drafted in the first round. Jay Cutler. I think Jay Cutler would have had a much better career if Mike Shanahan was never fired here. Okay. I bet those two would have been working together for a while. How would his career turned out? I don't know, but I think it would have been better than how it turned out after being traded to the Bears and whatnot, because the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their entire history. That's a fun fact for you. Tim Tebow, another guy we drafted in the first round. Y'all see how that worked out. Paxton Lynch, another quarterback that we drafted in the first round. Is this, with Sean Payton being here, is this time to go get a guy, go trade up? We got most of our draft capital back. I think we're still missing a second-round pick this year because of Sean Payton. But do we go up and get a guy like Jane Daniels? Do we go up and get a guy like Michael Penix? We're probably out of reach for Caleb Williams and Drake May. That's okay. I think Sean Payton could do some really cool things with Jane Daniels and Michael Penix. We'll just have to see. But Zulus, let's get Russell out of here so we can eventually get our franchise quarterback. Exactly. And I wanted to share this with you guys as well in terms of cap hit and stuff like that. This is the time to do it, y'all. Let me go ahead and share my screen. This is the time to do it, and I will tell you why. Bleacher Report, come on. So thanks to James Palmer and Bleacher Report. If the offseason parts way, again, guys, we're cutting him to avoid injury clauses so we can save $37 million on cutting him. We still have an $85 million cap hit or in dead money over the next 2 years that we'll have to eat. But it's better to do that right now when you have your quarterback on a rookie scale contract. Okay, you can eat that $35 million, you can eat that $49 million, okay, in 2025 when you have your starting quarterback on a rookie deal, as well as you're bringing in a bridge guy for 10, 12, $15 million, right? Jameis Winston. I would like to see that. We'll see how Jarrett Stidham does, but this is never ideal, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be manageable, I think. We still have some other restructures and some other cuts to do in order to get under the salary cap for this next year. But the fact that we have the richest owners in the NFL, it allows us to restructure these deals a lot easier than, or say, if you were a Chargers. So I think we'll get around that pretty easily, but personally, I would love for the Broncos, for Sean Payton, to go target a guy like Michael Penix, to go target a guy like Jaden Daniels. I mean, those are the two guys that I would really like. And I mean, they can both sling it. And Michael Penix, man, he makes big time throws in big time situations. The only thing, again, this really isn't a big deal. It's just a personal preference of mine, but lefties, man, it just always looks weird coming out. But Steve Young, I guess he did it, and Tua is doing an okay job at it, I guess. I think Michael Penix might be a better passer than Tua. But what I would like to see is go get a guy that's already familiar with the system that Sean Payton trusts. Maybe that's still Jarrett Stidham. Maybe he still functions as that bridge quarterback. We'll just have to see. He's only been in this system 1 year. Or I believe Jameis Winston hits free agency this year unless he signed a new deal. Did he sign I thought he was on a 1-year deal. So we'll just have to see. My dad timing in here saying, when does Peyton get fired? This is a great question because I thought Payton was gonna get fired at the beginning of the year, like, at the end of the year, if that makes sense. But with how we started out, I thought it was a shoo-in. I th I think Payton might stick around because a lot of his edge picks, a lot of his defensive picks have started to pan out. Now we're still missing a ton on the offensive side, no doubt. And that's something that we gotta figure out. We gotta have better use of our tight ends. We have to draft some wide receivers that can be productive and stay healthy. I think, again, another way to get some money off the books, Jerry Jeudy's got to be gone, man. He's got to be gone. This guy just he just does not have the mental makeup of what you need for a number one wide receiver. He just doesn't. Ideally, Courtland Sutton plays that complementary number two role. Judy was supposed to be that guy here, and he just was not it. So we're just going to have to see. But right now, I'm about on the fence, 50-50. That's not rocket science, right? Does he stay or does he go? I don't know. But I feel like he has a better chance right now than he had 3 months ago. But at the end of the day, Sean Payton's going to be calling the shots. If George Payton, his main responsibility is to get these contracts in the right situation, I think he can do that. That's more of where his expertise comes from, I think. I think he was like more of a cap guy originally in Minnesota. I might have been wrong. But great question. Old school. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing okay. And you had a great Christmas. I appreciate you, dude. Yeah, but Peyton, I think he's drafted very well defensively. We'll have to see how some of these offensive picks turn out. Okay. Let's see. I was going to pull this up. Give me 1 second here. Y'all know I like showing a little pro football focus stuff for the college. This is no surprise to you guys, but Jaden Daniels was rated the number one passer in all of college football this year, and I mean he killed it. He killed it. Coming over from Arizona State, he had his little Joe Burrow bump, right? Coming to LSU for a year or two. In his case, just 1 year, but he provides great size. 6'4". I like my quarterback 6'3" and above, ideally. That way they don't have to be elite at navigating through the pocket to find those little open windows, not getting their balls batted down all the time. Short quarterbacks just have to work harder to get a pass off. That's just true. They just have to work harder. So you want the easiest path to a successful play. Obviously, you got to take into account the brains of the guy who's throwing the passes. But when you're starting with a 6'4" base, that's great. And I think Jay Daniels is a very bright individual. So I would love to see him here in Denver. It would be really cool to see what Sean Payton could do with him. But yeah, let me go ahead and get to. I wanted to show, where was this? Passing concept. Is this it? Okay. Passing concept. 78% completion percentage off of play action. Beautiful stuff. Most of his yards came on no play action and no screens. This is different than Bo Nix. One of the reasons why Bo Nix will probably be a day 3 pick is most of his passes, or half of his passes or so, are behind the line of scrimmage. It's crazy. Now, Jane Daniels throws the ball downfield. And let's go ahead and take a look at his passing depth. I love looking at these charts. This stuff is really cool. And we can take a look at where he was graded. Look at where he had his highest grades right here. All deep. Okay. NFL quarterback rating deep left. Okay. 151.4. In the middle, 139.2. And then on the right, 152.1. Just insane. Insane. Completion percentage, 70% deep right, 55% deep center, 69.2 deep left. Hey, Is he throwing to some of the best receivers in the country? Sure, but I mean, so was CJ Stroud, and you see what he's doing this year, right? Anyways, but he's a guy that had a fantastic, really fantastic grades all throughout. I mean, shorter ratings on the shorter throws. That's usually what happens. But at the end of the day, I like to see that he has good ratings, good accuracy throwing the ball deep, because that's really something that we've missed, as well as in the intermediate. We need a guy that can kind of hit all these throws effortlessly and can do it from the pocket. Okay. Let's move on to pressure, though. How does he handle pressure? Under pressure, okay. 50% completion percentage, all right. 5 TDs, no interceptions. Hey, isn't that nice? Okay. Obviously, his throws are gonna be, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a higher grade under pressure than kept clean, but I think these are pretty decent statistics. I'll need to dive into this a little bit more, but I mean, look at this when blitzed, right? About you know, a mm, I'm bad at math. Maybe a fourth of his yard. No, no, it's less than that. I'll do that. I don't know, but 1,500 yards came when blitzed. Interesting, interesting stuff. Okay, quarterback rating when blitzed 149.6. NFL quarterback rating. That's what we're talking about. Okay, he had his best rating when blitzed. Love it. Let's see. Wonder if there's anything else here worth calling out. Guess not. Passing depth, passing concept. No, we already looked at that. I'll go ahead and take a look here at Michael Penix. Okay, he was the number 11 rated passer in all of college football this past year. Again, has nice size, 6'3", 213. Okay, I love it. I think is a little bit more mobile than Jaden Daniels. That's what I like about Michael Penix. Okay. But let's go ahead and get into some of this. 4,222 yards. Lovely. 33 TDs to 9 picks. I guess I didn't read the stats of Jaden Daniels. I need to go back and find that here real quick. Jaden Daniels had 3,811 yards, 40 TDs to 4 interceptions. Beautiful stuff. Okay. Now that I got that out of the way, did it against a really good Pac-12 this year. Okay. Now, he did play like 15 years in college, but we're gonna ignore that because I want to. Let's go ahead and look at passing concept. It's kind of interesting. I'm looking at this live. I didn't look at this beforehand, guys. So, hey, play action, 75% completion off of play action, 1,700 yards off of play action. No screen there. Not a lot of yards came off screens. That's great. Highest NFL passer rating with play action. That's cool to see. But let's take a look at passing concept or passing depth. And again, across the board, just a very, very highly rated player again. Had a lot of success throwing deep center, deep right. Completion percentage isn't as nice as you saw with Jaden Daniels, but again, when you're throwing 20 plus yards deep, it, still having like a 50% completion percentage, throwing that far down is great. And then he really hits those intermediates, I think, pretty well. And then the short center, short right, really, really good. All that. So I think he's got enough accuracy to be successful. And I wish I could look at like clutch throws. Maybe they have a a stat for that, but y'all let me know. And then let's take a look at passing pressure. Okay. Kept clean, has a very high rating, 121.5. And yeah, when blitz still did pretty well. 76.1. Okay. Completion percentage, 59.6 when blitzed. You would like to see better, but not terrible. And yeah, but I think at the end of the day, Michael Penix, Jane Daniels, both these guys, they have the measurables, they have the college production. Now, where they fit in terms of scheme, in terms of what Sean Payton wants to do, um, I'll let you keyboard coaches kind of figure that out. But I think bringing in a guy again that's had years in his system before, and I'm just a fan of. I would really love to see him here, Jameis Winston. I think he's hilarious. I think he's awesome, super charismatic guy, and I think he would serve as a great mentor. And I think that he might find it to be maybe more satisfying to be reunited with a coach he gets along with Sean Payton, and to be mentoring another young quarterback such as Jane Daniels or Michael Penix. We'll just have to see. Um, I know he loves New Orleans, Louisiana, so maybe he just wants to have his career there in New Orleans and just let it be. Props to him if he wants to do that. But ideally, what I'd want to do, bring in Jameis Winston as that bridge guy, draft Jane Daniels or Michael Penix, and you just roll from there. I would like that. So, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Move up to get Marvin Harrison Jr. problem solved, man, right? I wish we could. I listen to Cecil Lammy a lot, and he thinks George Payton has gotten very interesting. Okay, well, hey, Cecil Lammy is a professional at this, and he probably has that sourced. So hey, that wouldn't surprise me. I'm a little behind on listening to some of my Broncos shows. I listen mainly to Big Al. Now I'm listening a little bit more to D Mac and Tyler now that they're reunited. That's great stuff. But I haven't listened to them this week yet. Hey, I appreciate the kind words, old school. Coach Kev. Um, I hope you're having a great night. And you can get Penix later in the round. Yeah, he's a guy, again, maybe you can move back and get. Um, because like, yeah, even if I guess if you look at these pro football, and again, take all that with a grain of salt, but guess depending on how they test out throw and all that sorts of stuff, maybe Penix you could grab at 31, 32, pick 30. I'm kind of, and DMAC has pointed this out, and I'm like a full believer in it, is you don't draft quarterbacks in the 20s. The only quarterback that I can think of in my lifetime that has been drafted in the 20s and has been that guy has been Aaron Rodgers. A broken clock is right twice a day, that type of thing, because all those other quarterbacks that are drafted in the 20s, it just doesn't work. But for some reason, the ones drafted, in the 30s, such as, getting a guy like Lamar Jackson. Was Teddy Bridgewater a late first? His career kind of went down after his injury. But yeah, maybe you take that route. Maybe you take that route. I just wish we drafted Lamar Jackson, man. I wish we did. Or Josh Allen, man. I know Josh Allen's having a down year, so to speak, but I mean, these guys are still so much better than anything that we've had for years. So we'll just have to see. But I think I still want to see us have a really deep room with like 3 quarterbacks that we can really trust. So keep Jarrett Stidham. He's under contract for next year. Bring in Jameis Winston, even for just mentorship, leadership, locker room vibes. I mean, Who doesn't like Jameis Winston? I mean, when you hear him talk, when you hear him speak, how can you just not feel good? He's awesome. I love Jameis, so I would love to see him have a Broncos uniform. I would definitely buy a Jameis Winston jersey, regardless of if he starts only a few games for us. Um, but have an environment where this guy drafted can be successful, because again, Broncos, we've never really had a successful drafted quarterback. So we'll just have to see. I don't think there's any trade value for Russell Wilson. I think that no one wants this contract. I think that there will be teams that will bring him in on a bridge deal, 15 million or so, right? 10 million. But I think his days as a long-term starter, or as like seen as like a franchise guy, are probably done, which sucks. And honestly, I know Seahawks fans might be upset about this, but um, I still think he's an upgrade over Geno Smith. Like, maybe you just maybe everybody can push aside their egos. Russell will say, "You know what? I thought I was Peyton Manning. I wasn't." Okay. Pete Carroll says, "Hey, I realize I should have done this or this differently. Whatever. Run the ball more. Whatever." Because at the end of the day, Seattle, they got Russ's best years, and Seattle had their best years with Russ. So I would kind of like to see that reunion happen, honestly. I don't know how Seahawks fans feel about that. I feel like they were pretty upset with him demanding a trade, probably how we were with Jay Cutler, when that whole thing happened. Um, but at the end of the day, Russell Wilson is a Seattle Seahawk, and Seahawks fans should, you know, still appreciate him, because you guys got your only Super Bowl with Russ. Now he did probably lose you one other one too, but let's just focus on the good times. Um, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes for sure. But put him in Seattle, man. I think that would be pretty interesting. Broncos are right there. Seriously, don't need an overhaul, just tweaks. Yes, and even with this dead money, we're going to have flexibility. And with a rookie quarterback comes a lot of flexibility. And we trade Jerry Jeudy, flexibility. We cut Tim Patrick. That is Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick. That saves us another 30 million on the books, just getting rid of those guys. So keep a guy like Lil Jordan Humphreys. We need a guy like Marvin Mims to be more involved in the offense. We just need him to hold on to the ball on kick returns, right? And I want to say, not like not all this is Russell Wilson's fault, but Russell Wilson isn't what this team needed. We needed the quarterback to come in here and elevate this team, like we saw the greats do here with Elway, with Manning, all that. He just wasn't that player to do it. This wasn't the right situation for him. Maybe if he was a little bit younger coming in here, that might have worked, where he was a little bit more mobile, and we had, a half decent coaching staff at least to put around him. His first year here couldn't have gone any worse, when you just had a guy totally, you had a Michael Scott right there running the Broncos when he came in here. So, yeah, he wasn't a guy that was gonna, allow the team to overcome a lot of those deficiencies, and we need a guy in here that has the potential to elevate everybody. Yeah, we do need wideouts as well. Um, Thankfully, wideout is, in my opinion, the next to running back in the NFL. It's the easiest position to find. you know, One of our greatest wide receivers ever, Rod Smith, was undrafted. Shannon Sharp would have been undrafted, right? See, like an 8th round pick, 7th round pick? I can't remember. Um, yeah, Russ wasn't playing as good, but he wasn't horrible and doesn't deserve to be benched. Yeah. In terms of performance reasons, definitely totally agree with you. This is very clearly just a business move. It's like, we can't allow you to get hit or hurt because we're going to move on from you in the offseason. We can't be on the hook for an additional 37 million when we already will have 84 million in dead cap. And I forget how it works with the dead cap and how much he's guaranteed, but didn't he have like 200 plus million guaranteed out of this contract, you know? So Russ is going to be doing just fine. And again, like, really wanted it to work out. I like Russell Wilson, even though he's a little cringe or whatever. I do think that he's he does a lot of good work, and it just sucks. This is a results oriented business, and the results were average. They were above average for what Denver's had at quarterback play over the last 7-8 years, but we just never turned that corner. But I don't want to trade Surtain, man. I like Surtain, man. He's fallen in the likes of a ton of legendary secondary players we got, right? I don't want to trade Surtain. I don't care if it nets us a couple firsts, man. I guess you'd have to consider it. But I mean, shut down corners, man. I kind of agree with George Payton here on this. Maybe you guys will disagree with me, but I think quarterbacks and corners, man, shut down corners, those are the two hardest positions to find. But again, if you don't have any pass rush, your corners are going to look worse. So I do think we got some great young cornerstones to build around when it comes to our pass rush and our defense. Um, But what do we do with Justin Simmons, man? I mean, he's played his whole career here. He's like my age, in his 30s now. Would just love these guys to have the opportunity to win, you know? I would love for us to finish out with a winning record at 9-8, but we'll have to see what I mean, the division is still in reach, as crazy as that sounds. So if the Chiefs lose out and we win these next two, I think that puts us in. I think we're kind of out of the wild card race right now. Viral Authority, good to see y'all. Hope you guys are having a great evening. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. But yeah, y'all tune in to TB's live, see what they're doing over there. But yeah, thanks for entertaining this with me, guys. I know I mainly talk Buffs, but if you guys want to follow me for my Broncos takes, still please hit subscribe. Your algorithm will only push the Broncos content to you if that's what you mainly subscribe to. That's kind of what I figured out by all this YouTube stuff. So anyways, guys, appreciate it very much. Hit that like. Let me know your thoughts on the replay. And hey, Broncos country, one last time, baby. Let's ride.